Hello everybody, welcome to this presentation. This is a presentation regarding Blackbird and LiveU. We are a cloud video editor and they are obviously acquisition and distribution of live signal. We work together on many notable projects. What I'm going to say straight away is that we've had a very busy show and I was not actually meant to be addressing you today. That was meant to be our head of UK sales, David Mortlock, who has handed over to me. I believe there is an Americanism called the game night decision. This was more the 5 minutes before kickoff, there's a post-it note on your desk decision. So forgive me if my comments are ever so slightly improvised, but bear with me. So, who are we? We are Blackbird. We are a video editor that runs on the cloud in a web browser with a very low internet connection and, as you can see, very straightforward and basic laptops. Just going to address something right off the mark. We are not a clipper. You hear editing in a web browser tab and you think it's a clipping tool. We are not that. We are 12 tracks of video, we are 32 tracks of audio. We make this work through our proprietary technology, which is unique to us and only us. However, before I get there, let me just tell you a little bit more about who we work with, what we do, and then we'll show you the technology in action. So, realistically, Blackbird offers you a whole raft of improvements. We are extremely fast, speed in that instance being defined as you pop open your laptop, you have a basic connection, you get the job done, you move on. We're extremely flexible as well. Other non-linear editors require GPUs, they require screens, they require keyboards, they require large-scale internet connections. We need none of those things. We're lower cost because you're not buying screens, GPUs, big computers, and we're very, very sustainable. Obviously, that's a huge thing for all of us. As we move back out of a post-COVID world to look after the planet and look after each other. We work with these people, and the thing to notice is the different types of customer that we have. You'll see IMG, you'll see Delta Tray, you'll see Sky News. That is the live part of our business. Acquisition from live, be it from the LiveU system or from on-premise baseband signals or things like that. On the other side of things, you will see people like A&E Networks, a large, obviously, post-production facility that uses us for scale and efficiency. You'll also see people like Univision, and this is a new SKU of the business that we're extremely interested in. This is reversioning for over-the-top, for view-on-demand, for SVOD, for TVOD, and increasingly, of course, for FAST. And all of this is tied together by the same concept, which is that there is a job to be done, it must be done well, but it be done fast and efficiently within a web browser tab on minimal internet by a user who is either new to editing or learning their way and their schools of the trade. So that's quite enough about what it is. The obvious question is, how are we making this all work within a web browser tab? That's not something you traditionally see. Before I walk you through the architecture, I am going to introduce you to the proprietary technology that I mentioned before. That is the Blackbird Codec. And again, just to reiterate, this is subject to multiple patents, is completely unique to us, no one else has this. I'm going to set this asset playing back. You can see this is an asset playing back in a web page. There's precisely nothing interesting about this whatsoever until I stop it and press backwards on the keyboard. Those of you here in the room can see that. I press backwards once, I go back 1 frame. I press forwards once, I go forward 1 frame. And it is exactly 1 frame. I use the JKL controls, I scrub backwards in quadruple time. I stop on a dime, I move forward with the L controls. This is the codec. The codec is extremely fast, extremely malleable, extremely low bandwidth, and it gives you a tactile connection with your video. It is as though I am sat in front of a large edit solution, scrolling left and right with the video sat right there in front of me, but I'm running over the internet in a streaming architecture. Okay, we'll show you a little bit more of the editor in a second, but firstly let's give you a sense of how your infrastructures, whether it be powered by LiveU or powered by File, can make use of Blackbird. Over here, on the left, is your content infrastructure. We're cloud agnostic, we don't mind where your content infrastructure lies. You could be running your video files in Azure, GCP, S3, you can have them on premise, we don't mind where they are. You can also have your live streams, and for this, of course, we highly recommend LiveU. How else would we highly recommend while we're sat here? We'll take RTMP, SRT, HLS. We'll even take an SDI signal if you want to deploy us on premise. Whatever you give us, the same thing is happening. It is being turned into that ultra lightweight codec I just showed you. It is being uploaded into our private cloud which serves the world, and can do so because of the efficiencies of the codec. You're then going to edit, and we'll show you that in a minute. We'll show you the 32 layers of audio, the 12 layers of video. We'll show you everything working in a web browser tab. However, I'm going to address the elephant in the room, which is that yes, we have turned your material into a proxy codec, and that is all very good for navigation, as you've seen, for left and right, for edit decisions. It's absolutely no good whatsoever for publishing. So what we do is let you conduct your edit within our environment against our cloud. We return the edit decisions back to the ingesting unit that we call the edge. Having returned them back to the ingesting unit, we render against the source. So to be very clear, the bitrate and the resolution that you put in through your LiveU, through your file, through whatever you choose to feed to us, is the bitrate and the resolution that will be returned. So what do we do? What can you do with your content? Can you do social? Yes, of course you can do social, but frankly that's relatively pedestrian for us. We do that, we have API integrations into the major social networks. Can we do your OTT service? Yes, we can do OTT, we do into your VOD service. Can we do your linear distribution? Yes, because the bitrate and resolution you gave me is the bitrate and resolution I have returned. Put in a linear signal, get out a linear file. Put in an OTT device, get out an OTT file. So, with that in mind, and we will pause for questions at the end, usually pause for questions here, but we'll pause for questions at the end. I'm going to show you the Blackbird editor in the flesh, as it were. So here it is. We are running in a web browser tab. Those of you who are in the room can see this is not a good laptop. And those of you who have attended the show for 3 days will know there's not a lot of internet going round. No offense to anyone. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of people here, right? So you know that we're running on minor internet connections and on low connections. I'm going to go down here, and I have Blackbird currently configured in what we would call a sort of more straightforward user view. This is for content matter experts who need to push things to social media. This is for people who are not editors but know an awful lot about what they're looking at. I'm going to grab this piece of media, I'm going to drop it in here, and I'm just going to show you firstly the speed at which we talked about earlier. You see that every 5 seconds or so this jumps forward. That is the speed of the codec. The signal here is coming from a LiveU encoding device, it's coming from in the field, and you notice that every 5 seconds or so we jump forward. You'll always also notice that the bar at the bottom is red and then rapidly goes green, and that is us caching the frames into the JavaScript session within the browser. You're also going to notice, as I scroll in and out of the content, that the content has this colorful bar down the bottom. That is because we are accurate down to the frame, which means that when I roll in and when I roll out, I can actually see every single frame in the video being served. That gives me the ability to see at a distance those things that are happening in the asset. That's very powerful for copying down large live streams, for removing your adverts, for doing your OTT reversioning for bars and tone, things like that. For now, all I'm going to do is assume that this content that I'm on right here is the most interesting piece of content going out at this, let's say, a press conference. It's a press conference, the president has just said, no, of course I stole from something, or I'm the best person ever, whichever way you want to do it. And you mark the in, you mark the out, you pick up, and you activate a publish. I've picked up and activated a publish to Facebook here just for the sake of simplicity. I'm going to come here, I'm going to go, wow, amazing. I spelled amazing wrong, but that's not the end of the world. It's been a long show, right? I hit publish, and what is happening? We are returning the in and out point I have set back to the edge. I am rendering against the source. Having rendered against the source, we push the finished file out to Facebook. We show you that because it's the simplest, most straightforward use case. As I've said before, we can do an awful lot more than that. But I show you that because we want editing to be available to everyone. We want the content matter expert to not be held up by the fact that they don't know how an edit system works. We want the content matter expert to be the person in front of the tool, using it at home, using it remotely, doing what they do best, and the editors can do the editing, and the content managers or the content experts can pick the content. So, with that in mind, let's expand this out a bit. I'm going to mark in and mark out again. Still got my big controls, because at this point I'm still a content matter expert, not an editor. But instead of dragging right to publish, I drag left. And you see I get this little control down here. And again, this is what I mean about a malleable interface. Anyone who's used an iMovie or an iMovie derivative sort of knows what we're looking at here. Big blocky controls, big blocky content. I'm going to pick up something else. I'm going to grab another bit of content. Let's just say this is something else in the press conference that's caught my eye as the expert. I'm going to mark in, mark out. I'm going to drag across. And I'm creating this kind of baby timeline. I'm going to chance my arm and see if Facebook is playing nice today. And see what comes on. Brilliant. And you know there's no trickery there because I misspelt amazing. I'd love to say that was deliberate. It's just been a long time at the show. So that's the content, that's the speed at which content comes out. Okay, so now down here we are. The content matter expert has selected the clips. Maybe it's sports, maybe it's the draft season, maybe it's the important thing that was said in an interview of 120 minutes, maybe it's a press conference about virus prevention or something like that. However, now this is not quite right, this clip. This clip isn't really what we want to be working with, so we hand it over to an editor anywhere else in the world. And I do mean in the world. We have a worldwide reach. The speed and the connection that you see here will be from the same from Australia, where we have some of our customers, to here in America, across to anywhere you like in Europe. So now I have the curated content from my content matter expert, but I am an editor somewhere else in the world, and I'm going to turn this into a package. So let's turn this into a package for encouraging people to watch my live stream that's in progress, the live stream that's coming from my LiveU interface. Yeah. So what have I got in terms of tooling? Well, the first thing I've got is effects rendered in browser. I've got the ability to set a J-cut, set an L-cut, add a cross dissolve. I've got the ability to add more video tracks. I'm going to chuck that in there. Let's grab a little bit of branding from up here. We support images and animations with alpha. So we said that our objective here was going to be to encourage people to watch the live stream in progress. So what I've done is I've added that branding bar across the top. We burn in titles and text, so I'm going to click down here and text. My spelling hasn't improved, you're all still going to have to live with it. Text, there it is. We're going to pick that up, we're going to drag across to the side, and we're going to have a look. Aside from the fact it's spelt wrong, it's not right. The background is white, the text is black on a white background, that's no problem. We can activate here, we can drop this down, we can do that, we can do this, we can drop it to the side, there we go, that's text across the top. Alright, there's no call to action. You've got to have a call to action, you want people to watch the live stream. So what are you going to do? You're going to contextual control over here, you're going to right click, you're going to fade to a fade color, we're choosing white because it fits with my particular branding for, let's say it's my fast channel, I want people to watch my fast channel. And there we go. That's not a great clip, I'm not a great editor. You have and you employ great editors. They could be working on this on a very basic laptop internet connection rather than having to come into your office, rather than have to travel into your office, rather than burning the environment, driving there, or indeed, wasting time as they do it. So what are we going to do with this? Well, we said that this was an asset that was more inclined towards OTT. So I'm actually going to activate an OTT-based publish. And what are you looking at here? Well, you saw the Facebook publish was very straightforward. You activate to Facebook, it says, what do you want to tell the world on Facebook? You type that in. Where we're integrated more deeply into a system, we might have the LiveU system sending things in, and then we might wish to push that into an OTT system or something like that. These metadata fields here are going to be used to give us a good sense of where things go, whether that be back into your LiveU playout environment in the replay, or whether that be into your geo-blocked channel that's only for Australia, or whether that be into your compliance channel for playout. We're going to hit publish there, and that's going to work in the background. And just while we do, just going to show you a little bit more of what we've got, because unbelievably there's more lurking away in here. I've opened up my video track, of which I have 12, and I have 32 audio tracks. I'm going to jump up here, and you notice that I can move this graphic across. I can also close this, and I can do the same with my text as well. Let me just open that up. Throw the text to the top. And I'm going to unlock here. I'm going to grab my final keyframe. I'm going to move across to the side, and I'm going to close that. I can see in the preview window what I've done. and left to right my text moves. This is the same with the audio. There's audio adjustment tools, and again, just to reiterate, low scale internet connection in a web browser tab. So that's Blackbird. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk very briefly about the people who are very kindly hosting us today and what we did with them, and that's LiveU. We worked with them on the German elections. Huge amounts of feeds, and obviously we know how election night is. Yeah, there's a lot of information flying about, there's a lot of improvisation, there's a lot of things happening that you don't know about, but you need to get the news out. So what we did was we took a huge amount of feeds from LiveU. They ran that in, I believe, their AWS instance, but please throw a pencil with me if I got that wrong. They ran that in their AWS instance. I see Peter shaking his head. I apologize. Peter is pointing out that the reseller, who we do humongous business in Germany, is Notorium, and they are missing from the slide. As I said, I am standing in for my colleague. I can apologize on his behalf, and please, Peter, don't assault me after the show. Anyway, here is LiveU. LiveU is running the feeds in. We have, I believe, 32 in the end, discrete election feeds, and you know how LiveU works. These might be broadcast level feeds from a broadcast ingest center. This might be one of your LU800 live things bonded with sticks. Could be anything you like. They came into Blackbird, they were edited down in Blackbird, and then they were pushed out to the custom destination for each broadcaster, and that's important. Each broadcaster has their own requirements, but as we've said, when you work with Blackbird, the resolution and bitrate you get in is the resolution and bitrate you get out, and you've seen the custom metadata exportable as well. It's no minor feat to take that many broadcasters with that many feeds and to deliver that much media that is perfectly accentuated for their use. I appreciate that sounds like I'm patting myself on the back, but I was in no way involved. I just drew the plans and everyone else did the plumbing. So congratulations to everyone who did that. I think that's probably me. I do understand that I have to I'm going to open the floor to questions. I think I have a gentleman who wants a question straight away. Say, sir. Were they what feeds? Yeah, they will have had restrictions. So they come into us, yeah, but obviously we are a trusted partner in the same AWS environment, so no restrictions or anything like that for us. When they went back out, you saw the screen I showed you before that had the GeoIP specification. Those would go through, those restrictions would apply to the playout file. It's important to understand is that we are not a live stream out. We are a file delivery system. LiveU have tools themselves for live mixing of the signals. We are a live-in file distribution out. So we would apply a side of XML, and that would apply the geo restrictions from there. Yes? It would, yeah. So configured down the side, you see Facebook, you see Twitter, you see various different publishers. So in your example, where you're running a podcast, it's pretty much the same as the LiveU workflow. You're waiting for the moment in the podcast that is gold. Your user is watching it come in real time, set the in point, set the out point, drag across, activate the publish, and away they go. But again, just to be clear, we are file out, not live out. Live missions doesn't work. Yeah. So, in terms of social engagement or creative economy engagement, if you watch the migration between a live stream of an esports event and then you watch the view-on-demand asset that's generated from that event, you're going to find quite a few times the clipping is kind of rough and ready. It's been done in platform. Our contention is that you actually want to use tools like this to add branding, to add proper slates at the beginning and the end. It's just about content monetization. Yeah, you can do it next day. If you want your OTT stuff to be rendered against a slightly higher bit rate, you can do that. If you want to just get it out fast, set it to H.264 and kick it from there. I am probably holding up the floor. So any other questions before I disappear? Well, it's been a real pleasure to be with you here today. Thank you very much again to LiveU for all of their help and for our time. And if you do need to find us, you'll find us on the Microsoft booth and at a cabana nearby.